Ron Paul.
Ron Paul.
Ron Paul
is the one we've been looking for.
I'm Ron Paul, and I approve this message.
This is radio for the revolution at ronpaulradio.com.
Sounds like Vegas.
What's up, y'all? You're back. You're listening to Occupy the Media. I'm your host, Paco. Don't forget, if you haven't already, make sure you join Watch the Vote 2012 on Facebook. Again, that's Watch the Vote 2012. Also, check out hiddenfourthbranch.com. That's the hiddenfourthbranch.com, about how we can combat voter fraud that's been going on. Also, if you're in my area, the Los Angeles area, LA Liberty headquarters, you could join on Facebook, LA Liberty HQ. Also, don't forget, that the Louisiana District Caucuses are coming up Saturday, April 28th from 8:30 a.m. until 12 noon. So I want to make sure we get as many Ron Paul supporters out there as possible. Pick up some more delegates. Okay, so I want to jump into a headline here. Oh, and I just want to apologize. Before the last break, we were having some issues with the clip and also with my voice. We got a new connection, so we're working on it. Hopefully everything will get back to normal as soon as possible here. Now, I want to jump into this headline. Red Cross calls for humanitarian drug policies that include decriminalization. It says here, this was on April 17th, and I got this at naturalnews.com, recognizing the utter failure of the perpetual war on drugs to accomplish anything beneficial whatsoever in the world. The International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies, IFRC, the world's largest humanitarian network, has officially come out in open opposition to it, calling also for massive drug policy reform. Speaking on behalf of the organization, Dr. Lasha Gagudes, I don't know if I'm saying that right, senior health officer at IFRC, told United Nations policymakers at the recent 55th session of the Commission on Narcotic Drugs in Vienna, Australia, that the continued criminalization of drug use is not the answer to the global drug abuse epidemic, and that rational humanitarian drug policies are the only way to instigate any sort of positive change. Commenting on how current drug policies force drug users underground and out of the public light, Dr. Gagudes, how do I say that name? Gagudes explained in detail how this marginalization leads to greater problems in society than if the drugs involved were simply legal. Since drug users will still find drugs regardless of whether or not the state approves of them, it is important to focus on helping rather than criminalizing and ultimately incarcerating individuals with drug abuse problems. The best people who use drugs can hope for is to be driven underground to live with the addiction in the dark back streets and abandoned buildings of our towns and cities. Or even worse, they are criminalized and jailed with little or no regard for their health care rights or the impact of this policy on the health of their communities. Drug use in many areas obviously takes place discreetly and out of sight in order to avoid attention from authorities. And because of this, many drug users in some of the worst drug abuse areas will congregate in filthy quarters and share needles and other sensitive drug paraphernalia, which is responsible for spreading deadly diseases that create public health problems. So now the Red Cross is sounding like a Ron Paul supporter, or this person that's representing them is, saying that we don't need these drug laws anymore. We need to get rid of these drug laws. We need to end the drug war, like Ron Paul says. Whatever you put in your body is on you. If you become addicted or sick or ill, it's a medical issue. It's not a criminal issue. These laws create criminals. They create the crime aspect of this whole thing. You take away the laws and it isn't a crime anymore. Now it's just a medical issue. Now, they can come out in the open, we can help them. Okay, so let's keep it moving. Got another headline here. Karzai says, President Karzai, you must pay at least $2 billion per year to stay. I got this at antiwar.com, April 17. In a speech today, Afghanistan President Hamid Karzai discussed the ongoing negotiation with the U.S. over continuing its military presence through 2024. saying that he wants the partnership agreement to include a pledge from the U.S. to give the Afghan government a minimum of $2 billion a year to pay for its own military. The U.S. has been negotiating on the pact since last summer, and the agreement to allow the Afghan government total control over night raids was seen as a major breakthrough in pushing the deal through the Afghan parliament. U.S. officials have said that they will almost certainly provide far more than the $2 billion demanded annually, saying they will probably pay closer to $4 billion. They object to putting it in writing, however, saying the partnership agreement was never meant to cover every aspect of the U.S. involvement in Afghanistan. Well, you see what happens, like Ron Paul says, when you make people dependent on you, now make a country dependent on you, you're going to get more of it. You're going to get more of it. And so now they're going to need $4 billion, of course, because the value of the dollar going down. Everybody needs more dollars. Everybody needs more money. And the government's like, oh, don't $2 billion. We were planning on giving you $4 billion. But we ain't going to put it in writing, though. We ain't going to put that down on paper. I mean, this is, what do they say, till 2024? Oh, my goodness, man. But we're going to go ahead and complain about the GSA and the people that were going on vacation and having fun in Vegas. Hey, you know what? I'd rather some people go out and at least somebody did. And instead of giving $4 billion of it to bomb up not bomb people, but to try to run someone else's military, run another country, which God knows how much corruption's going on. God knows how many people are really picketing in at that $4 billion or $2 billion every year. I mean, where's that money really going? What's it really being used for? It's just like foreign aid. Is that really helping out the people in those countries? No, it's not. It's helping out the dictators in those countries. That's why we even have dictators. So let's see here. What else is going on in the news? Big government on steroids. Senate bill calls for black box recorders on all new cars. This is at economicpolicyjournal.com on April 18th. The same Senate Bill 1813, known as MAP-21, that calls for the Secretary of State to revoke or deny a passport to any citizen that the IRS commissioner deems as having seriously delinquent tax debt, also calls for in Section 31406 of the bill the mandatory installation of black box event recorders to be installed in every new passenger vehicle starting with model year 2015. Yeah, so as of 2015, it'll no longer be a conspiracy. It'll no longer be, I wonder if they can hear us. It'll be that, hey, y'all hear us out there? Yeah, they can hear you. They're listening, if not already, But now we're going to be listened to in our cars. You get a new car. Now all the libertarians, we're going to have to buy older cars or figure out a way to get that device out of there. It's amazing, man. On our cell phones and our cars, next we're going to be chipping people, chipping our pets. I mean, they're going to be watching us everywhere. I mean, who can watch all these people? I don't understand. Who can keep up with all this information? It's just amazing, man. They just want to have it in the database so they can get to it. Just want to have it there. The camera's going to watch you. The robots is watching you. Another story here I want to read until we come to the next break here. Seniors get the TSA runaround, lose $300. I'll try to get through as much as I can before the break. This is just sad, man. This story right here is amazing. Omar Petty and Madge Woodward expected the alarms to go off at the airport security metal detector when they were flying home to Detroit after visiting family recently near San Diego. After all, Petty, who is 95 years old, has 2 artificial knees, and Woodward, at 85, has had her hip replaced. But they sure didn't expect to be subjected to accusations, extreme pat-downs, and most importantly, to be missing $300 in cash. Can you imagine an 85-year-old lady and 95-year-old retired Air Force major in wheelchairs being treated like terrorists? Petty asked recently, sitting in the kitchen of the Bloomfield Township home he shares with Woodward. On March 29th, Petty and Woodward arrived at the San Diego International Airport at 10 a.m. for a flight scheduled to leave at 11:36 a.m. As usual, Petty and Woodward removed their shoes, jackets, sweaters, and put these along their belongings. Petty says a security officer asked him to remove his Kleenex and $300 in folded bills that he had in his pocket and send it through the detector. He hesitated and said, "You really want me to put my bills in there?" Petty said. The officer said yes, so Petty put the cash into a fifth bin. Then he and Woodward proceeded through the metal detector. After both alarms, they were patted down. Then a security officer did a a litmus test on Petty's clothing tested positive for nitrates. Petty explained that he carries pills for his heart. Anyways, we're going to go to the next break, and I'll come back and I'll finish up this article. It's